Welcome to the deep dive. We're taking a focused look today at the very latest in AI.
That's right.
We're drawing from the oWo AI 2025 April 13 1 Week of AI publication. That's from University 365.
Hmm.
Our goal really is to just cut through the noise, find the most important, most interesting bits from the last week in AI for you. Basically, your shortcut to staying up to speed.
It's definitely needed. Things move so fast.
Exactly. And guiding us through is an expert in this field, a University 365 professor and co-writer of oWo AI. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's been quite the week. Lots to talk about.
Okay, let's jump right in then. This latest oWo AI report, it really paints a picture of just incredibly rapid progress.
It really does.
We're seeing huge announcements from the big tech players, but also, really cool stuff from startups too.
Absolutely.
Feels like how we interact with tech is, well, it's changing
Yeah,
pretty significantly.
that's a good way to put it. The theme is definitely acceleration across the board, really, from the core models to the actual applications we're starting to use.
So let's start with OpenAI. They've had a couple of pretty big updates, haven't they?
They have.
First, GPT 4.5 Orion. That actually came out back in February for ChatGPT Pro users.
Yeah, February 27th. What's significant about Orion, or GPT 4.5, is really where it sits in their roadmap.
Okay.
It's positioned as the last model before GPT-5 that doesn't use what they call chain of thought reasoning.
Chain of thought. That's like showing your work, right? The AI reasons step by step.
Exactly. So GPT 4.5 is better than GPT-4, definitely performs better, more efficient, but it's not that next frontier model. It's not the big leap.
Gotcha. So more like a refinement, a stepping stone before the main event, which is GPT-5.
Precisely. A stepping stone.
So what's the ambition for GPT-5 then? What's the big idea there?
Well, the goal is unification. Right now, OpenAI has its main GPT models, which are
Yeah.
great all-rounders, and then these specialized O-series models, maybe for specific tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
GPT-5 aims to bundle all that capability into one single starter system.
Magic unified intelligence. I liked that phrase from oWo AI. So the AI just knows what tool or approach to use. You don't have to pick a model anymore.
That's the vision. Exactly. Make it seamless.
Yeah.
The AI figures out if it needs complex reasoning or just a quick answer or maybe web search, code interpretation, memory, vision even.
Okay.
The idea is just to make it more intuitive, hide the complexity from the user.
That definitely sounds like a step up in usability. Now, speaking of making things smoother, ChatGPT got that memory upgrade April 10th, right?
Yes, that just rolled out.
That feels like a really fundamental change for conversational AI. How does it actually work?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. It aims to make the conversations feel, well, less repetitive, more natural.
How so?
It works in two main ways. First, there are saved memories. That's where you explicitly tell ChatGPT, hey, remember this specific thing.
Okay, like key facts.
Right. And second, it also learns automatically from your chat history. It looks at past conversations to pick up on themes, your preferences, context,
And uses that going forward.
and uses that to inform future responses. Yeah.
So say I'm researching a topic, I mention some details, ChatGPT will just remember them later, without me having to repeat myself constantly.
That's the idea. Should definitely streamline things.
That'd be huge. Who gets this now?
Right now, it's Plus and Pro subscribers. They're planning to roll it out later for Team, Enterprise, and ADU users too.
Okay.
Though it's worth noting, it's not available everywhere. Some places in Europe, for instance, likely due to privacy regulations, GDPR and all that.
Right, privacy is always the big question. So what control do I have? Can I see what it remembers? Delete things.
Absolutely. User control is key here.
Yeah.
You can go into settings, manage those saved memories, see what it's picking up from chat history.
And turn it off entirely.
Yes, you can disable the whole feature if you want.
Yeah,
Or delete specific memories, clear your history. You're in control.
good to know. The oWo AI report did mention a note of caution from University 365, though, about potential confusion. Or maybe even results getting worse sometimes.
Yes, and that points to a real challenge in AI development. Memory is useful, obviously, but making it work reliably is tricky.
How so?
Well, there's a risk the AI could, connect unrelated facts incorrectly or misunderstand the context from an old conversation.
Ah,
It might get confused by too much information or maybe draw the wrong conclusions from patterns it thinks it sees.
so users need to be aware, maybe manage the memory settings a bit.
Exactly. Be mindful, check what it's remembering, and tweak things if needed to keep the results sharp.
Yeah.
It's still early days for this kind of persistent memory.
Okay, that's a really important nuance. Let's shift gears a bit to the visual side. Midjourney V7 Alpha launched April 4th.
That's right.
Big update. Almost a year since the last major one, right?
Yeah, V6 was a while ago now. V7 is a pretty substantial overhaul. They essentially rebuilt the system.
Rebuilt it. So what's different?
The results are just
Mm.
noticeably sharper, more detail, more coherent images overall. It's much better at handling tricky details.
Mhm.
Hands, complex objects, subtle textures, things AI image generators often stumble on.
Right, the classic AI hands problem. And oWo AI mentioned a new draft mode. What's that about?
Oh, draft mode is really exciting, especially for creators. It generates images super fast, like 10 times faster than normal,
1,000 times faster? Wow.
and at half the cost. So you can iterate really quickly, try out lots of ideas, tweak concepts rapidly before you commit to a full, high-quality render.
Okay, that sounds incredibly useful. Faster experiments, lower cost. Big win for visual work.
Definitely speeds up the creative flow.
And there's something about automatic personalization. How does that work?
Yeah, V7 asks new users to rate about 200 images when they start,
Rate images. Why?
to learn your style.
Mhm.
It figures out your aesthetic preferences, your artistic taste, based on your ratings.
Ah, clever.
Then it uses that profile to tailor future generations more towards what you like.
So it learns your look. I
Yeah.
saw different modes mentioned too. Turbo and relax.
Yes. Turbo is faster, gets you results quicker, but costs more per image. Relax mode is slower, more budget-friendly, gives users options depending on their needs and patience.
Makes sense. And this next bit sounds really cool. Voice-activated creativity in draft mode.
Isn't that neat?
You can just say things like make it sunset or change the color.
Exactly. It makes it much more conversational, more interactive. You're iterating in draft mode, and you can just talk to it to make adjustments, like having a real-time collaborator.
That sounds amazing for just playing around with ideas. Very fluid.
It really lowers the barrier to experimenting.
The report did say some features like upscaling and retexturing aren't in the alpha yet, coming later.
Right. They're rolling things out in biweekly updates. It's an ongoing process, adding features, refining based on feedback, agile development.
Constantly evolving then. Okay, let's switch focus again. Coding. oWo AI highlighted DeepCoder 14b preview released April 8th.
Yes, another significant one.
An open source coding model. Always interesting when things go open source. What makes this one stand out?
Well, it's the combination of its performance and being fully open source. It's a 14 billion parameter model.
Which is reasonably sized. Not enormous, but not tiny.
Exactly. And it hit 60.6% accuracy on something called Live Code Bench.
Live code bench.
A benchmark, yeah. Tests how well AI can generate correct code for programming problems. And 60.6% pass at one accuracy, that's really strong. It rivals some of the big proprietary models.
Impressive for its size and being open source.
Yeah.
And it's a collaboration, Agentica and Together AI.
Yes. They fine-tuned an existing model using distributed reinforcement learning, basically training it across many computers and using feedback to get better at coding.
Okay.
But the truly groundbreaking part, they didn't just release the model. They open sourced the entire package.
What do you mean the entire package?
The data sets they used to train it, the
Mhm.
actual code,
Yeah.
the training logs detailing how they did it, even the specific optimizations they developed, everything.
Wow. So not just the tool, but the recipe and all the ingredients.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That level of transparency is huge for the open source community. It lets people really understand how it was built, learn from it, build upon it. It democratizes that knowledge.
That is a big deal. Usually that stuff stays behind closed doors in corporate labs.
Exactly.
And it's not just coding. Well, AI mentioned math skills too.
That's right. It did surprisingly well on a tough math competition benchmark, AIA 2024. Scored 73.5%.
Huh. So it has good logical reasoning beyond just code.
It suggests so, yeah. Which is interesting, given its main focus was code generation.
The pace is just wild. Let's try and connect this back for our listeners. Thinking about the learner persona we sometimes use, how could one of these developments help someone like that in a practical way? Maybe Midjourney's draft mode.
Oh, definitely. Midjourney's draft mode is a great example. Imagine the learner is creating, say, a presentation. They need visuals, right?
Sure.
With draft mode, they could quickly brainstorm tons of different image concepts, just type in ideas, see what comes out, experiment with styles, compositions, all really fast and cheap.
So they could try out way more options.
Way more options in the same amount of time for less budget. They could rapidly see what visual ideas work best for explaining their points, iterate, and end up with much more effective graphics for their presentation.
Yeah, I can see that. Getting visual feedback quickly would be super helpful.
It speeds up that whole visualization process.
Okay, great example. Now, oWo AI was packed. We've hit the big ones, but let's do a quick rapid-fire round of some other key news. Shopify. Mandatory AI use for employees.
Yes, effective April 7th. A big statement about AI becoming a standard workplace tool.
Makes AI proficiency a requirement, basically.
Yeah.
And XAI, Grok 3 API launched.
Correct. Giving developers access to its reasoning capabilities and a large context window. More tools for builders.
Google Cloud Next had news too. Ironwood TPOs, AI agent kits.
Yep, Google investing heavily in the hardware and the tools for building complex AI agents and applications.
And sticking with Google, Gemini 2.5 Pro, big context window, better reasoning.
Indeed. Pushing the limits on how much information these models can handle. We're talking 1 to 2 million tokens potentially.
Wow. Then there's Google Project Astra, their vision for a universal AI agent.
That's the longer-term play. An AI that works across devices, understands visuals, interacts naturally. Coming late 2025, they say.
DeepSeek GRM, a self-teaching model outperforming GPT-4o in reasoning.
Yeah, using clever self-critique methods to improve itself. Interesting approach.
NVIDIA's Nemotron Ultra went open source too, a reasoning model with different modes.
Right, giving researchers a powerful, flexible tool, toggleable modes for different needs.
Okay, switching to robotics. Protoclone V1, musculoskeletal humanoid.
Yeah, very advanced design aiming for more human-like movement. Really interesting robotics work.
And we saw Engine AI's Agile Robot, Unitree's boxing robot, even a Kawasaki robotic horse.
Huh? Yes. Shows the sheer diversity of where AI and robotics are heading, from practical agility to, well, boxing and robotic horsemanship.
Lots happening there. Plus, new AI image tools. HyDream, Omnius VG.
Each tackling different niches, multi-object generation, uncensored images, vector graphics. The tools are getting specialized.
Video generation is exploding too, right? 1-minute videos, real-time talking heads with OmniTalker, Runway Gen 4 Turbo, Amazon Nova Reel.
Absolutely. Making sophisticated video creation much more accessible. Huge changes there.
AI coding keeps evolving. GitHub Copilot Agent, MCP Protocol, Chat LLM.
More tools trying to integrate AI deeper into the developer workflow. Making coding faster, maybe smarter.
Even creative tools like YouTube Music Tool and DaVinci Resolve using AI for script alignment.
Yeah, AI helping with music creation, making video editing more efficient. It's everywhere.
WordPress getting AI for automated website building.
Lowering the barrier for getting online.
Amazon Zoox taxis hitting the streets in LA.
Self-driving tech making real-world progress. A big step.
Samsung's Bally robot finally coming to market, the little companion bot.
Yep, AI moving into the home in new forms.
And even 3D innovation with HoloPart AI and better AI face animation for lip sync.
Just shows the breadth, doesn't it? From industrial design to animation details.
Okay, that was a whirlwind. So, looking at all of this, OpenAI, Midjourney, deep coder, robotics, video coding, everything. What's the big picture? What's the main takeaway from this week's oWo AI?
I think if you synthesize all that, the overwhelming feeling is just sheer momentum and how AI is weaving itself into, well, almost everything.
It feels pervasive.
It is, and it's the diversity of the innovation that's striking. Foundational models, yes, but also practical tools, creative applications, robotics, the underlying hardware. It's happening on all fronts. The aha moments, the breakthroughs, these just seem to be coming faster and faster, constantly redrawing the map of what's possible.
Absolutely. It really does feel like exponential growth playing out. So just to quickly recap the absolute key points from this deep dive into oWo AI. We saw OpenAI's roadmap with GPT 4.5 and the unified vision for GPT-5.
Right.
Big usability improvements with ChatGPT's new memory feature, though with some caveats.
Important ones, yes.
Exciting leaps in AI image creation with Midjourney V7 and its draft mode.
Very cool stuff there.
And a major win for open source with DeepCoder 14b opening up everything.
A really significant release.
And like you said, that's just scratching the surface of everything covered in the full publication.
Exactly. And for any listener who wants to go deeper into all these developments and the many others we just touched on, the oWo AI publication from University 365 is really the place to go.
It's incredibly comprehensive.
It really is. A fantastic weekly summary of the most vital AI news and analysis.
So we definitely encourage everyone to check that out. And if you want that kind of detailed analysis delivered every week, subscribing to the oWo AI publications is the way to go. You can find out more about subscriptions and also other resources by becoming a member of University 365.
Yeah, University 365 offers a whole range of publications, courses, other materials, all designed to help you keep up with this incredibly fast-moving field.
Definitely worth exploring. And please do join us for our next deep dive. We'll keep unpacking the crucial developments shaping AI's future.
We'll be here, trying to make sense of it all.
So finally, as we wrap up, maybe a thought to leave you with. Given this speed, this breadth of AI advancement we just discussed, what completely new things we maybe aren't even imagining clearly yet, do you think might become commonplace in our daily lives by this time next year? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.